Hello and welcome to my video this morning. How are you? I hope you're doing okay. Of course, if it's not morning and you're watching this afternoon or evening or any other time during the day or night, welcome as well. Because I'm running this live, the original video is live. I'm just going to wait for a few seconds just for people to arrive, but I'm not going to leave it too long because obviously for those of you that are watching on replay, it's really boring waiting for somebody to start up a live video and waiting for people to arrive. So let me just introduce myself initially. My name's Vanessa Wallace and I am an emotional balance coach. I'm also a psychotherapist, a cognitive behaviour psychotherapist, and I work with people to support them to live a better, healthier and happier life. And why do I do that? I do that because I believe that anyone who's going through any emotional difficulties in life or changes, which I'm going to be talking about today, can get through and come out the other side and live a lot happier, which I'm also going to talk about today, happier life. So that's what I'm about. That's what I do. That's my main focus. I do that. I work through working with people one-to-one. I also have a 12-session program which I run, which is kind of alongside the program of my retreats, and I run weekend retreats during the week, but also I have run online retreats at the moment, and also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I work one-to-one with people. So there's many things that I do. But anyway, let's get into the subject matter, because that's the most important thing about this live or this video today. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is change. Now, change is it's very, very close to my heart. It's something that I talk about a lot. It's something that a lot of people come to me with because change happens in life. Now, it might be a situation whereby you want to change your life, or you are suddenly thrown into something that suddenly changes for you. Whichever way, the outcome is almost exactly the same, and the process is almost exactly the same. So my story is, in 2001, I wanted to change my life. I was chronically addicted to drugs and alcohol. I was miserable. I was in a really bad relationship and I wanted to change, but I didn't quite know how to. So I started to go through a process, and I did get some help the same with that. Now, whether you want to change, you're looking at your life and going, I don't like my life, I want it to change, or whether you are suddenly thrown into change, the brain reacts in exactly the same way. It goes, no, I don't want to do this. So we all have that same reaction. We all have that kickback, that fight. And it feels like hard work going through change, because almost our minds are conditioned to just stay with the same. And if we're surviving through that, even if it is dysfunctional and not working for us, somehow our brain becomes conditioned to go with that and to prevent us from changing that. So, if you are going through change, just acknowledge that it's going to be difficult. Just allow yourself that. One of the things that I talk about quite a lot is self-compassion. And understanding that when we're going through changes, we need to be compassionate with ourselves, because it is a struggle. It can feel like a fight sometimes going through changes. So just allow yourself that. Be kind to yourself. So happiness is the second part of what I'm going to talk about. So when we are looking at change, sometimes we can think, okay, well, I either need to be happier in my life. And I did a survey recently with a lot of my tribe, the people who follow me, and what came out was so many people wanted to have happiness in life. Now, I don't want to put a dampener on that, but I want to put a little bit of a kind of warning on striving for happiness, because the reality of life is that we can't always be happy all the time. And believe me, I am an absolute example of that. Don't get me wrong, my life is so much happier than it was. But that does not mean that on a daily basis, happiness is always going to be there. It's almost unrealistic. We have the ebbs and flows, and we have the struggles and difficulties. And I'm sure a lot of you relate to this over the last few months. We've had a lot of changes. This video I'm actually making in July 2020. So if you're watching it many months on, you might understand why I'm talking about change so much. But we've been through so many changes in the last few months, and happiness is something that maybe we've come out of this all wanting in life. I'm seeing a lot of people who are saying they want to be happy. Now, happiness is something we can't have every day of our lives. Sometimes it comes along and it's great. And believe me, I am a lot happier than I was before, but I still have to work hard at it on a daily basis. And sometimes, you know, we have those moments where we don't feel so happy in life. But then there are techniques that you can use to support you to get back on that happiness. So sometimes it's just about maybe doing some meditation, some yoga, some journaling, just getting back in touch with yourself, who you are as person, what you want in your life. And then you can get back on track in your happiness. I mean, in 1998, I had a really bad car accident, and it was during that period that I decided that I wanted to be happier with my life. And the reason I wanted to be happier was because I didn't want pain anymore. It wasn't because I wanted to be happy, it's because I didn't want pain. And I think for a lot of us, the motivator is we don't want pain anymore. We're fed up with the pain. We're fed up with the anxiety. We're fed up with the stress. We're fed up with the tension in life. So we can work towards reducing that. And by reducing that, you increase your happiness. Okay, so there's lots of things that we can do to support our happiness. And all of these things I show to my clients, I talk about with everybody. It involves good food, it involves exercise, it involves looking after your mind, it involves being compassionate with yourself, it involves being kinder to yourself, and also perhaps having some kind of structure to your day. So bringing in things that are going to support you to be in line with your goals, because happiness isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's a journey of doing lots of little bits each day to get towards your goals. We don't wake up one morning and suddenly, yeah, we've reached it, we're happy. But you might on the journey come across moments of happiness. You might also come across moments of struggle. Now, my mother, she struggled with mental health difficulties for most of her life. And one of the things that she always used to say when she was struggling was, this will pass. And isn't it interesting how I've come into a recovery in 12-step fellowships and came across that slogan again. It's something that they use in those fellowships. So this will pass is such a great way of thinking. It's about hope, it's about looking forward, it's about believing that you're going to be okay, despite feeling really bad at certain times in life. So I say happiness is not always guaranteed. And when we fight happiness, so if we fight unhappiness, so if we have a period where we feel like we're in pain, we feel things are difficult, which I'm going through at the moment, then if we fight that, instead of trying to do something about that, then we will suffer. So, and I'm not saying that it doesn't go away, the black cloud doesn't go away. However, it's actually just about taking action to support yourself to get through, and it will pass. You will come out the other side. On a lighter note, happiness is achievable. I just want to say that because I don't want this video to be seen as something that's negative. Happiness is achievable. And sometimes it's about sitting down and actually just writing out what it is you want in your life. And as I said earlier, just working towards those goals gradually, building new things into your life, so that you can feel happier, you can have that happiness. Now, let me talk a little bit about helping others, okay? In my life, I've always tried to help others. But there was a period in my life where I used to overdo that. And it's really strange because actually I help others a lot more these days. But it's where that helping comes from, because we can get stuck in other people's lives, what's going on for them. And maybe we're driven to help them through guilt, through shame, through not feeling good enough, and we compromise our own well-being. You have to put yourself first. You have to look after yourself as number one. And don't get me wrong, we have periods in life where we need to put other people's needs before our own. But just be careful with where you're putting your energy. If you're putting your energy too much into other people, it drains your own energy, and then we get into the martyr syndrome. And recently I did a lot of work with a few people that I work with on resentments. And we can have resentments when things don't go the way that we want them, or when people don't do what we want them to. They don't get well in the way that we want to. They don't take the actions that we think that they should be taking to support themselves. And we are supporting them with all this stuff that we're giving to them. And actually we need to just step back and go, okay, what is my responsibility in this? Who am I actually responsible for? What am I realistically responsible for? Am I realistically responsible for myself, or am I taking on too much responsibility for this other person? And that leads me on to the subject of letting go. And letting go is a process that we can go backwards and forwards with. And sometimes letting go involves letting go of people. It can involve letting go of places. It can involve letting go of things. Believe me, when I was a traveller, I used to live on the road as a traveller, I let go of a whole bus of stuff because I wanted to move on. I was chasing a different life at the time. Believe me, my life has been quite colourful at times. I've also let go of my dream home in my life, and actually that was good that I let go of that. I needed to move on, and I had too much garbage in that place, and I needed to move on and work towards emotional freedom, emotional happiness. And that involved letting go of something which I believed I really had wanted in my life. At one point, I believed that was what I wanted to make me happy. But funnily enough, it hadn't made me happy because it was an external thing. And what I needed to do was work on my internal happiness. So letting go is a process, but it's something that sometimes we need to do. And it's okay to let go. Let go of what isn't working for you. Just move on. And that sometimes can bring up resistance. Because again, our brain will tell us, no, you need to hang on to this thing, even though it might be not good for you, might not be within your best interest to keep that particular thing, person, situation. But letting go is really, really tough. So it's allowing yourself, again, that compassion, that understanding that actually this is going to be really tough. It's going to be really hard to let go. Let go of something that you're familiar with. But it's okay. And you will be, if you're working towards the happiness, you're authentic within yourself, and you're like, no, I need to move on, I need to change this, then letting go is part of that process, but it is difficult. So don't be surprised if resistance comes up and you want to go back. Believe me, I tried to let go of previous relationships many, many times, and I went back for lots of different reasons. But, you know, letting go is a process, and I take my hat off to anyone who can let go and move on. And sometimes we need support with that. So get some help. Be accountable for your letting go. You know, call people up. Let them know that this is what you're doing in your life, so that you are accountable, because actually we can't trust our own brains when we're trying to let go of stuff which we've known and that is familiar to us. Okay, sadness. I'm just going to talk about sadness, because when we're letting go, when we are moving towards happiness, when we are going through change, sometimes we feel a lot of sadness. And I just want to acknowledge, and I do this a lot with my clients, and there's a lot of evidence behind this in mindfulness, a lot of the the practices that we do where we're bringing ourselves into the moment, that sadness is actually a really important emotion to feel. And we're all very good at avoiding it. But actually, sadness is something that is part of life. And sometimes letting go or change involves sadness. And I'm not saying that we need to be sad all the time. It's about you finding your own balance and your own genuineness in when sadness is important for you to actually feel it in the process of letting go. So as I say, I'm not putting a dampener on this, but it's all part of mindfulness. It's all being part of awareness of what is actually going on in our minds and bodies at any time. The way that I manage that is through meditation. I also do a little bit of yoga, but I just sit sometimes and just journal. I can write down. I write 3 pages every day. What is really going on with me? What am I sad about? What am I angry about? What am I frustrated about? Writing those things down helps you to be aware of what's going on in your mind, body and spirit. And that is so important to know every day. I spent years in drug and alcohol addiction and I felt numb. I was just numb. So of course, when I came off all of those, I was swamped with loads of feelings. And I think for a lot of us, we go through feelings during life, or we develop techniques and methods to avoid feelings, because feelings, they're horrible sometimes. But it's important to feel our feelings and to know that you're not going to be harmed by your feelings. Feeling sad is okay. Feeling upset is okay. Not that you want to be that all the time, but it's just acknowledging it, giving that little bit of acknowledgement. This is where you really are. This is where you authentically are at the moment. When I was writing this out, I was writing what I was going to say. And I'm going to put this into a blog later on this week as well. But I actually thought I was going to cry during this particular live today, because I got in touch with some real sense of sadness myself as to everything that's going on in my life. But then a moment later I can be really happy. And I love that ebb and flow of emotions throughout the day. And as I say, I met somebody wonderful a couple of years ago, and his name is JJ Van Zon. And he has shown me how to be in touch with my body, how to be in touch with my emotions through my body. So just take that time to just sense kind of where there is any feeling in your body, if it's in your heart or if it's in your belly, and if it's sadness, anger, or perhaps it's happiness, perhaps it's a sense of elation. And I also feel that. I feel quite excited when I'm thinking about the message that I want to get across about authenticity. Because all of these things, 3 things, change, letting go, and happiness are all about being authentic. Just being in line with who you truly are. Living your life to the best that you can at this point in time. And I suggest that, write things down that you want in your life. There's absolute psychological evidence for this. Do a vision board, draw things, get pictures, put them up, because if you have those things written down, they're psychologically implanted in your mind, and you will start to work towards them. You will start to work towards being genuinely happy, to letting go of the things that aren't serving you in your life, and also finding a way of changing, because we don't like change. As I said earlier on, we are resistant to it. Now, I'm running a 3-day retreat online at the end of August, and if you are somebody if this is exciting you, if this is resonating with you, and you're thinking, yes, I'd like to actually look at my life and look at what I can change, what I need to let go of, and how I can move on, how I can find the happiness in my life. If this is resonating with you, come and spend 3 days with myself and JJ Van Zon, also Lorna Wiggins, because we are going to take you on a journey. So the first day is going to be setting you up to explore what it is you want to change. And that takes a bit of, writing and some exploration, understanding what's going on in our lives. And then the second day, we're going to look at compassionately doing that. So getting connected with yourself, understanding what you need, what your needs are, and also having compassion for anything that's difficult for you. And then the third day, we're going to leap into the visions and putting together a plan that you can work on, so you really from this point on know what you're working towards. Wouldn't that be exciting? I've done this probably 3 times in my life, all in periods where I had that bit of downtime, and I'm like, okay, I need to change. Something needs to change. And it's taken a period of reflection on different levels according to what my knowledge has been at the time about how I can do this. So if you want to spend 3 days with us doing that, if this excites you, just email me, vanessa@crystalclearcoaching.org. If you're watching this on replay and we know we were somewhere in 2021, please bear with me. I may cut this out of the video, but it's a 3-day new life journey. We called it Find Your Dream Life recovery retreat. So if you're interested, email me, vanessa@crystalclearcoaching.org. I also put the link in underneath this video, all about what we're doing for the 3 days. And if you're not interested in that, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And yeah, you can find your happiness. You can let go. And you can as well change. Just remember that. It is possible. But get some help. Get some support. Be aware that resistance might come up at times. Sadness might come up at times. But you can absolutely do this. I know you can. Take care. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, dependent on whenever time you're watching this. And see you again soon.